Welcome to our first video. My name is Daniel and I am joined with Ethan and Sky. This channel will give you an entire fantasy overview of what's currently going on in the NBA fantasy world. We will give you all the details on what trades, drops, and pickups should be happening in your fantasy league in order to have the best team possible. We will be sharing with you different segments on a variety of topics in future videos. Make sure to like this video so we can continue making this type of content.
This is our upload schedule. Every day, there will be a short recap of the best and worst players of the day. It will also talk about streamers for the next day. If you don't know what a streamer is, it means to pick up a new player every day who plays that day. This is so you can maximize the stats you get, and usually you don't need to keep the last guy on your roster. On Sunday, there will be a long video with multiple segments so you can find all the information you need in one place. Monday will be our non-fantasy upload. It will talk about real-life NBA teams and trades.
Leave any questions and suggestions in the comments, or you can email us. Our email will be down in the description, and you can show us your team. We can rate it from 1 through 10, or you can just ask us anything.
Okay, so this is the preview of the number of games each team plays for the week. Remember that each NBA week starts on Monday, not Sunday or Saturday. This week, only the Jazz, Clippers, and Wizards play 3 games, and many teams play 4 and 5. For streamers that play a lot of games this week, we have Norman Powell, Chetty Osman, Josh Jackson, Enes Kanter, Tyus Jones, DeAnthony Melton, and Lonnie Walker IV.
Okay, so we have some waiver players to pick up. First on our list, we have Chris Boucher. He's averaging 2.5 blocks per game and about 37 fantasy points. I think he can keep it up because he's going to take over the center minutes from Aaron Baines and Alex Len. Next up on our list, we have PJ Washington. He is currently taking over Cody Zeller's center position. He's playing more of the center position every single game, and he's been doing very well as of late, and I think you should definitely pick him up if he's there. Next up, we have Darius Beasley. He's been very solid, and he's not doing as well, but I think he will do better in the future as he's young and he's going to get a lot of shots up. Lastly, for me, we have Wendell Carter. Wendell Carter is the starting center. He gets most of the starting center minutes for the Bulls, and lately he's been doing pretty good. His rebounds are going up a lot. He had a career high 17 rebounds this season, and he's only averaging 25 fantasy points per game, but I think that will definitely go up after this season.
Next, we have Tim Hardaway Jr. He's a guard for the Mavericks and is averaging 30 fantasy points this season. I think he's doing surprisingly well, having Luka and Kristaps Porzingis by his side. He's averaging around 18 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Next, we have Dylan Brooks. He's really stepped up his game as the 2 Grizzlies stars, Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., are out right now. He's averaging 28 fantasy points with 4 rebounds and 3 assists. Next, we have Darius Garland. Although he is injured right now, in his first few NBA games, he played very well. He's averaging 35 fantasy points with around playing 35 minutes. He's averaging 33 rebounds and 6 assists and 1 steal. Lastly, on the waiver players to pick up list, we have DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan's, I think he's going to be very well, as Jarrett Allen just got traded, so he's going to be the starting center for Brooklyn. Right now, he's averaging 18 points with 7 rebounds and 2 assists.
Okay, so for the sell high players, first up is DeAndre Hunter. Most of So now for the sell high players, we have DeAndre Hunter. Neil Gallinari is currently injured, so that is why DeAndre Hunter is performing so well. Now we have Mike Conley. His efficiency is way up compared to last season in his career. So it's going to go down soon, so trade him away right now. And Kemba Walker is coming back, so it will affect Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown won't get as many touches on the offensive side, so he is a sell high at the moment. Now we have Malcolm Brogdon. He is way overperforming expectations, and it's most likely it won't last with Karis LeVert coming in, and he's also a great scorer. Then there's Devontae Graham, and who needs to make way for LaMelo Ball, who is becoming a very great player.
Okay, on our buy low, the players that you should trade for now before their value shoots up, we have Jamal Murray. He is not performing like his bubble Jamal Murray, but I don't think he's going to get to that kind of level, but I think he's going to be better than he's playing right now. Currently, he's the 21st ranked point guard, only averaging 31.2 fantasy points, but I think he can get that average up. Next on the list, we have Kelly Oubre. Oubre has been shooting terribly, but I think he's going to do much better. He just needs to fit into a new system, like the Warriors, where they shoot a lot of threes. He wasn't really used to that in Phoenix, but I think he's going to start to get used to it. And next, we have Jaren Jackson Jr. Last season, he performed very well, and he's coming off an injury, so his value is not going to be as high. So I would go for him right now before he starts to play.
Next is D'Angelo Russell. As we know, he just got traded to the Timberwolves this season, and he's averaging 34 points. He's still playing very well, but I still think he could play way better than he already is now. Lastly, on our buy low list, we have Al Horford. He just got traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he's only averaging 25 points. We know Al Horford can do way better than this, and in the future, I think he will get way better, so you should trade for him or pick him up now. Welcome to Copper Drop. In this segment, we will be comparing two players that are at an equal skill level, and we will help you decide to either cop one and drop one to help out your fantasy team. So for this week's Copper Drop, we have Devin Booker versus Donovan Mitchell. So what do you guys feel about these two players?
In my opinion, for fantasy and for the rest of the season, I would rather have Donovan Mitchell. I think that the Jazz have less weapons, so he's going to get more touches and more usage than Devin Booker, because Devin Booker has to play next to CP3, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson. They have to give it to DeAndre Ayton too. So I think there's just too many good players on that team. And I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be able to do better than Devin Booker.
Daniel?
Yeah, I have to agree with Ethan on this because Donovan Mitchell is unquestionably the best player on the Jazz. Devin Booker has to play with Chris Paul, which will make his assists go down, and I feel like Donovan Mitchell has the edge between these very similar players.
I'm going to have to disagree with you guys, and I'm going to go with Devin Booker. As Devin Booker's stats may not be as high as Donovan Mitchell, they are very close, as Donovan Mitchell is only averaging half an assist more than Booker and 0.6 points more. And both of these players have many weapons on their team, as Devin Booker, as Ethan mentioned, has DeAndre Ayton, CP3, Cameron Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and Donovan Mitchell has Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, and Bojan Bogdanovic. But Booker's shooting percentages are up, and we've seen Booker's potential in the bubble, and I think Booker will end up being the better pick for this season.
Yeah, I see. So, Daniel, you said that Donovan Mitchell is the best player on the Jazz. You don't think Rudy Gobert is better for fantasy?
Well, Donovan Mitchell is the number one scoring option, and he also has a little better stats, and I just trust him more than Booker throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, okay. So next up we have the top 10 rankings as of late for the season. Number 1 on our list is Nikola Jokic. He's just been doing very well. I don't think anyone expected him to do this well. He is the number 1 ranked player in fantasy basketball. He's averaging 60 fantasy points, and he's just been amazing. He can do everything on the court. At number 2, we have Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic struggled to begin the season, but he's been doing very well. and I think he's going to be able to keep it up because his game is just consistent. And at number 3, we have Joel Embiid. Embiid has played very well, averaging 48.1 fantasy points. He's the number 2 ranked center behind Nikola Jokic, and I think that he is going to keep this up, and that's why he's number 3.
Okay, so at number 4, we have Giannis. He averages 48.5 fantasy points, and he is number 1 in his position. We expected him to be at the top of every list, and he is not disappointing. At 5, we have Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal averages 52.9 fantasy points. He is leading the league in scoring per game, and that is not going to change anytime soon. At number 6, we have Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon is doing amazing right now. He is the number 1 ranked point guard and averages 48.5 fantasy points.
At number 7 on this list, we have Anthony Davis. He's the number 2 ranked power forward. He's averaging 46 points with 2 blocks, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. At 8th, we have CJ McCollum. He's averaging a surprising 50 fantasy points next to Damian Lillard with 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. At number 9, we have the King James. He's averaging 45 fantasy points right now next to AD, who's higher on the list with 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, and half a block. At number 10 on this list, we have Karl Anthony Towns. Although he has been out for a lot of the season, the few games that he's played in, he's done surprisingly well. He's averaging 51 fantasy points with 12 rebounds, 4 assists, half a steal, and 3 blocks.
Before we move on, do you guys have any honorable mentions that you think could have snuck into the top 10?
I feel like Stephen Curry and Kyrie Irving could have made it, but Curry had like a slow start, but he's getting back on track, and Kyrie Irving missed a lot of games, so it made him drop down.
I think an honorable mention is Zach LaVine, who's been doing very good. I think he could sneak into the top 10, and replace CJ, because I don't think CJ can keep it up behind Damian Lillard. So let's move on to another segment called Trade Effect.
So, as we know, the massive trade happened between the Houston Rockets, Brooklyn Nets, Indiana Pacers, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, I think James Harden's trade effect will go down as they have 3 All-Stars on their team right now, and they're going to have to negotiate who's going to be the third option, and I don't think either any of Kyrie, KD, or Harden wants to be the third. They all want to be first and want to have the ball, so I think his trade effect will go down. Next, we have Victor Oladipo. I think he will play well next to John Wall and Christian Wood, and he could possibly lead their team to a good playoff run.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. So next up on the list, we have Karis LeVert. You may be thinking, why isn't Karis LeVert's value going up? We think that Karis LeVert's value stays the same because his stats, most of his good games were when KD and Kyrie were out. So we think that with Brogdon, they have a lot of weapons there, so he's gonna do a lot the same. And next we have Andre Drummond. The Cavaliers got Jared Allen, so I think he's gonna take away a lot of minutes from Andre Drummond. Plus, Kevin Love is coming back, and Larry Nance plays center position, so it's going to be very crowded.
So Kyrie and KD will drop down a little bit in their value because with James Harden, this trio has the most combined points all time as a trio, and they haven't even played together yet. So Kyrie and KD will get less touches. They will have to share the ball, and it will not be good for any 3 of them.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Make sure to tune in to our daily fantasy basketball recaps. Daniel will probably be there. Or he will be there every time, and me and Sky might jump in once in a while. Make sure to hit the like button because it helps us a lot, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment or email us. There is going to be a link to our email in the description. And if you disagree or agree with anything we said, let us know. It'll just help us. You guys have anything to say?
Oh, I think that's it.
Yep, thanks for watching.
All right,
See you
thank
guys
you.
in the next.